Hello and welcome into another episode of Popcorn for Breakfast. We've got an all-new show for you today. We are very excited. We are going to be reviewing the brand new Disney Animation Studios film Raya and the Last Dragon, which is available on Disney Plus with Premier Access. We are going to get you all primed and ready for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Zack Snyder Justice League, which are coming out in like 2 to 3 days, each of them. And we are going to get you all of our reactions, our snubs, our surprises, our shockers on the Oscars, and then we are going to end the show with a game. It's going to be a great episode. We got no time to waste, so let's get to it. Thank you for joining us on a live episode of Popcorn for Breakfast with your co-host, Kirk.
Hello, hello.
I am your other co-host, Cam, and that's right, we are live. This is our first time doing this. We are live in 3 places, count them 3 right now, simultaneously, or as the Brits would say, simultaneously. Facebook, YouTube Live, and Twitch. We hope you guys are tuning in on one of those platforms. We are so happy to have you. Kirk, how's it feel? How do you feel being live?
Well, I got a little horrified because I forgot that we were going like live everywhere, and I got a little notification that popcorn.
Oh, and Kirk's frozen. Kirk's frozen.
Just go. Hold on that show.
You're back. Are you back? Oh, the joys of a live broadcast, and this is what makes it fun. So,
and I've been kicked out.
Kirk, I can still hear you. Can you see me? Okay, Kirk looks terrified. All right, well, we're doing it
back?
live. Yes, you're back. You're back. Can you hear me?
I can. Well,
Okay.
That's what I get for getting lost in the Matrix. I was actually sucked in because I was getting so excited about being part of the live podcast here.
Yeah, and what it wouldn't really be our first live broadcast if we didn't have a massive technical issue right off the bat, right? I mean, that's sort of like it's like baptism by fire right there.
That's right. I feel like I have the most technical issues.
He says as he freezes yet again. All right, so
No, I have a.
Oh boy. Well, Kirk is gone again and cutting in and out, so we'll see what happens there. But I'm going to go ahead and set up the episode, and let's see if we can get this technical issue figured out as we go. But like I said in the open, we've got big things happening right now. So if you are already a fan of the show and you follow us on Facebook or social media, you probably saw our big announcement last week, which is that we're doing things a little bit different these days. We are going to be doing things live like we're doing right now. We're going to be doing, we're taking our podcast sessions, which happen every week anyway, and we're thinking, let's just share them. Let's just share them with everybody. They can sit in on the Creative Fusion, be a part of the discussion, which is really the whole reason we do this, is to chat with people about movie and TV. So why don't we just do it live? So we're doing that, and then we're going to chop this up into our podcast episodes, which will be released throughout the week, actually 3 times a week, which will be basically our format going forward. So we're very, very excited. We've also got a huge movie that we're reviewing this week. It's called Raya and the Last Dragon. It's a Disney animated film, and it released exclusively on Disney Plus with Premier Access in the same vein as Mulan. So we got to give that functionality a roll again. And then, man, I mean, the Oscars, like it's a big show when the Oscars are sort of a footnote, but we've got Oscar nominations that we're going to be talking through. Very excited to get some reactions to that. And there's 2 little things coming out later this week. One of them is called The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and the other one's called Zack Snyder Justice League. I don't know if you've heard of that, Kirk. Have you heard of either of those?
No. Can you explain more about these? I've never.
Yeah, they're just massive blockbuster superhero productions. No big deal. So.
Really? That's very interesting.
Yeah, we went from the barren, desolate wasteland that was 2020 in TV and film. Honestly, it was TV and film because like all of our TV shows, they didn't get new seasons or anything either. Like some of them did if they were made pre-COVID, but everything else was pretty much put on hold. And now we're like in this cornucopia of new content. We've got Oscar-winning films that we're watching. We've got new Disney Animated Studios film. We've got DC movie coming out, a Marvel show coming out. Like we are just swimming in content right now, and I am so stoked.
Yeah, man, it's all here. It's all here. This just gives us so many opportunities to watch some new stuff and review some new stuff. And I'm just curious on how everything's going to play out with our takes on everything.
Yeah, should be interesting. Should be interesting. I mean, I've got the hot take machine fired up. I'm ready to start shooting out hot takes. But I know you've got a game for us too. Should I wait? Should I wait on that? Should it be a surprise to me?
Oh, we can tease the title. I'm not going to tell you how the game works, but
Yeah.
for those of you who will be listening to different episodes throughout the week, what a better teaser to make sure to entice you and tantalize you throughout the week. This game is called Cam and the Last Dragon.
Ooh.
That's right. That's you. You are Cam, and the Last Dragon is. We will find out.
We will find out. I'm so scared. I get more and more scared of these games every week, but it'll be good. It'll be good. So so good point. If you're listening to us right now on the podcast, that game will not be available until the next episode, which will release on Friday. So this episode releases on Wednesday. It'll include our Oscars breakdown, all of what's poppin', everything that's going on in film and TV right now. And then our next episode will include our review of Raya and the Last Dragon and our game. And if you're watching through the stream, guess what? You get both of it. You get both of them at the same time. So it's a win-win for you guys. That's right, exclusive. All right, well, let's start with a new segment. Should we start with a new segment to really spice things up?
I would love a new segment.
Yeah, let's do it. We used to do this segment. Well, I don't even know. Can we even call that a segment? It was just like, hey, man, what are you watching this week?
I don't know. What are you watching?
Yeah, well, that was basically it. We were just, I don't even know what we called it. Like we called, what are you watching? I think was the actual official title.
Clever.
But now we're giving it a name, and that name is Kirk.
It's called Popped or Not.
Wow, look at the logo. What a high, I don't even know what to call that. It's beautiful. For those of you who are not watching via the video, Kirk has mocked up a logo. Since we didn't have time to Photoshop a logo, he's just done one in Paint?
No, this was an app called Notability.
Notability. Okay.
Yes. It took me about 3 hours to do, and I'm going to sell it.
I would be so sad if it took you that long. But you know what? You've given us a great...
I'm going to sell it on the black market.
No, you can sell it as an NFT. Have you heard of this? NFT?
That's right. I can sell it as an NFT for $2 million, I think.
I was going to say, I don't know what NFT stands for, but I know that like there are rich people buying like JPEGs and stuff for like $60 million.
Yes. We could record a secret episode as an NFT and sell it for whatever we want.
Yeah, we could make a GIF out of this and then sell it as an NFT. That's another option. So, I mean, there's another potential revenue stream for us. I think we're only just hitting the tip of the iceberg there. But anyway, back to our new segment. It's called Popped or Not. And here's how this is going to work. Popped is good, not is bad. We are going to talk about what we're watching right now, what we did watch over the last week, and whether it was popped or not. And this is just a way for you guys to get our takes on some things. Because, you know, we don't all have time to watch everything that's out there. But Kirk and I try to watch absolutely everything in the world. And so then we can save you guys time by telling you if something is popped or not. And then you can decide if you want to watch it. So let's get it kicked off, Kirk. What are you watching right now? And is it popped or is it not?
Yes. I am going retro here, and I'm watching a little bit of The Wonder Years.
Ooh, nice.
Yes.
I used to love The Wonder Years. That's a classic.
Yes, good old Fred Savage. Just saw an episode where Ben Savage makes a surprise appearance in the what's it called? The Valentine's Day episode. Very cute. Very cute. I don't know what made me decide to watch it when it first came to streaming, I think it came to Netflix, and I didn't have enough time, and now it's on Hulu. And man, I tell you, when you watch it on Hulu, there are no commercials for it, so that show
Wait,
flies.
there are no commercials in it?
No commercials in it because it's owned by ABC, so there's no commercials.
Oh,
Isn't
I
that
did not realize that was a thing. So if it's a Disney ASP, ESPN, or not ESPN, but if it's a Disney ABC property, then I guess there's no commercials because they're like, this is us. We don't need to monetize it. It's our stuff. Oh, Kirk's frozen again. But yeah, so Kirk's watching The Wonder Years. Um, you're blinking. I can see you blinking. Can you hear me?
I can't. I've been back this entire time. I froze on that for fun.
Oh, well,
No,
that
I'm
was
kidding.
super fun for me.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, so The Wonder Years. I did not realize. I guess I don't. I mean, I watch a lot of Hulu, but I guess I just either don't watch anything that's like ABC, Disney, or something like that, and either that or I just don't notice because I'm just not paying attention to such things. I don't know.
That's good. That's good. What I'm loving most about the Wonder Years is how wholesome and edgy it was at the same time. Like
Mm,
it's basically like it was a good kickoff for Freaks and Geeks. 10 years
yeah,
after it ended, to really just like go the extra mile because it's around the same time period as it kicks to the end of the Wonder Years. So it's super fun, and I'm super excited to like really dive into it because the Wonder Years reboot, of course,
hmm.
is getting made right now.
Oh, that's
Um,
right. That's
and,
right.
and I'm super excited to see what that entails and what network that premieres on. I have no clue. So the Wonder Years, that's what I'm watching right now, and I gotta say, after all these years, it's still definitely popped.
It popped. Does it? So it holds up.
Hmm.
And I think that format was kind of a trailblazing format for a lot of different shows. The whole like breaking the fourth wall type of thing. Is Fred Savage the younger Savage or is Ben?
Fred is the older brother.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I
So
thought.
yeah,
Because he makes a few like guest appearances in Boy Meets World, doesn't he?
he does. He plays a creepy teacher in the college years
That's
of
right. In the
of Boy Meets
college
World.
years. Oh man.
Yeah, he's like hitting on Topanga, and Ben Savage is not having it. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Get away from Opangate. All right. Can't be having it. What else? Anything else? Is that it?
That's been consuming most of my time. I will say
Yeah.
I also popped into HBO Max to watch A Time to Kill
Ooh.
with Matthew McConaughey.
How was that?
Very good. I've got 20 minutes left, and it's really something special. It really is. It's also another groundbreaking film. Matthew McConaughey, maybe his breakout film, his debut star performance that made him the star that he is today. So I'm really loving it. It's some good stuff. Also popped. Also holds up well.
Nice. So you're hitting on all. You're batting 1,000 this week.
Yeah.
So that's good. Let's see. What am I watching? What am I not watching? Let me narrow it down. So I'm watching The Crown. That's right.
Oh.
Become one of those people. Here's the thing about The Crown. I started it back when season 1 first came out, and it was like, this is the most expensive Netflix show ever, and everybody was talking about it. I started it. But here is the problem that I have had with The Crown when I first started it and still have with The Crown is that I watch most of my television in the dead of night
Hmm.
when my children are asleep and I just am trying to cram in some television before I go to bed. And that show is just too dialogue heavy and too slow moving to keep me awake. I love it. It's great acting. It's really well written and everything. So then what I've started to do instead is legitimately waking up earlier in the morning, eating my breakfast and watching The Crown. So that's what's happening. But it's good. I mean, it's all good. I'm still in season 1. I really thought about not going back to season 1 because I was like, you probably don't have to watch it in chronological order because there's like, I don't know, there's like all kinds of different, it's like there's time jumps and all kinds of stuff. So I just figured I could start wherever, but I'm committed. I'm going to watch the whole thing and it's popped. I mean, it wins all the awards. You know that it's good. I love Claire Foy. I love Vanessa Kirby. They're just killing it in
Hmm.
this first season. So it's all good. And it's holding my attention slightly better than the first time around.
Okay. Very
Other
nice.
things I'm watching. So that's popped. That's big time popped. Next, I'm watching the Clone Wars. I restarted the Clone Wars back to, the beginning. And we just got my sister chimes in and says, "How dare you say even anything even close to?" Wow, I didn't even say anything negative. I just said something that was like could be negative of saying that it was like kind of slow. This is what I'm talking about, Kirk. This is the kind of harassment that you get from these crown people.
That's right.
Here. This is why I was resistant to joining. So they are a hazard to their own cause. That's all I have to say there. But no, I'm one of those people now. So soon I'll be shaming you, Kirk. Are you watching The Crown?
Also stopped watching The Crown in season 1. It was a very similar situation. Dialogue heavy, kept passing out, couldn't handle it because I consume all of my film at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we're in the same boat.
So I want to hop back in that boat, but I cannot wake up before 9 a.m. Before 9 a.m. Wow. So
yeah, that makes it tough. Yeah. So then the other thing I'm watching is the Clone Wars. I restarted at the beginning because on Star Wars Day, May 4th, they are rolling out on Disney Plus a show called The Bad Batch, which is a spinoff of the Clone Wars. And that group, as I remember, doesn't appear until season 7, but I want to go back, watch the whole thing, because a lot of this stuff I watched when I was like a kid. And so I'm just trying to get the full picture. I think it's definitely popped, but I would say season 1 is not the strongest season of that show. It feels like very much like a kid show in that season, in the sense that like it's really hard to get a grasp of like what the larger plot is that's going on. It's just like moving from planet to planet. Every planet is under attack by the separatists, but it's like every episode is like a self-contained plot line within that episode. So like I know the show gets better, and that's why I'm going through it, but it's still good. I'll say it's lightly popped for season 1, but I know that it gets better, and I'm excited to go through that full journey. And then the last thing that I'm watching, and I've been watching this for like a week, is Justice League. the movie.
You're gearing up.
The non-Snyder cut, the Whedon and the Whedon Snyder cut, I guess. I don't know.
So you're watching it to compare what it will be like this weekend. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I am. This is how much of a professional I am, Kirk. Here is a movie that I hated more than most movies that I watch. And yet I'm right back into it because I'm committed to giving the best analysis and comparison. And man, is it brutal. There's so many questionable things in the movie that, like, I don't know whose idea they were. Probably, it sounds like based on the press that they were mostly like Joss Whedon, Jeff Johns, and those guys, and not Zack Snyder as much. But
right,
we'll see. We'll see how much of it is in there. I'm excited to talk about the Snyder Cut. I feel like I've been hearing about this movie for 1,000 years, and it's finally almost here. And so I'm ready to, like, I think a little later on we'll kind of preview it. But Justice League, in case you're wondering, not popped, not even close. This is like frozen kernels. It's so bad.
Ooh, frozen kernels.
Yeah, let's log that away. Let's that could be a segment name in the future. Let's log that idea away real quick.
Gonna write that down.
But yeah, that's our new segment, popped or not. If you want to let us know in the comments or via social what you're watching, that will be helpful to us, because we are trying to pick things out that we can watch, and we want to be in on all of it. We want all the good content. So hit us up with your ideas as well. Okay, Kirk, should we pop it up? We got lots to do in What's Poppin'.
Oh, let's pop. Let's pop indeed.
Let's pop it up. All right, Kirk, the granddaddy of them all, the big one. It's here. We got Oscar nominations yesterday in the morning. Man, that feels like ages ago, but it was actually just yesterday morning.
That's crazy.
We got Oscar nominations. Pretty interesting slate for a lot of reasons. I think I'm always expecting to be super surprised, and I didn't feel like I was that surprised this time, which was cool. That was kind of like a different experience. Also, we're going to talk about the big categories. We're not going to talk about every category. We're not going to.
I want to talk about makeup, and I want to talk about
in sound mixing,
sound editing, sound mixing, and editing. I want to talk about all the nitty gritty details. We're not leaving anyone out today. So strap in for the next 3 hours while we dissect every award ever.
Yeah, we did that once. I think. I feel like our first. This was like a very like amateur podcaster mistake here. Our first time ever going through Oscar noms was like, all right, and the category for this, and I just like read names for like an hour. It was such bad radio. It was the
The
worst.
best boy on the set.
Oh man, yeah. I was like even reading the awards that they like don't even broadcast, like the ones that they do at the lunch before.
Yes, the governor's ball. Yes.
The one that they like show the abbreviated thing in the middle of the Oscars, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this other thing happened and it sucked, but here's the highlights." Oh man, yes. But anyway, Oscar nominations. We're gonna go through the big categories, okay? Which are for the record, in case anybody's curious. I feel like the big categories are Best Picture, obviously, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, and then probably Director. And we can talk about screenplay if we want to, but I want to hit on the big ones. Okay.
Okay. That
And
sounds
when
good
we
to me.
go through each category, let's hit surprises, shocks, things that make you happy, etc., and just kind of go through it real quick. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so the first category is Best Picture. This is the big one. This is the one you want to win. And our nominees are The Father, starring Anthony Hopkins, Judas and the Black Messiah, starring Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. That is 8 films there. How are we feeling about this category?
This is one of the most balanced top best picture nominees I've ever seen, because a long time ago, I mean, like long, like probably like 2010, there were
Okay.
only 5. There were 5 options for
Yeah.
best picture. And then one year they said, you know what, let's make it 10. And that was just insane. It was absolutely insane. I think it should be more concise, and I'm glad that they only did 8. And I will say this is a very round 8. I was super excited, most of all, to see Sound of Metal in this grouping, because that was a movie that I felt like I was like a ninja, like a secret fan of when it came out. Like it just didn't, it's not getting enough attention, and I hope this brings it to the tops of some people's lists. So that's the like the shock factor, the underdog, if you will, that I'm rooting for in this category.
Yeah, it's a great movie and one that everybody should see. So it's good to your point that people will go see it now. They'll like actually seek it out to go see it so that they are all ready for the Oscars. But yeah, I can't remember like since they rolled out the changes to the category of 10 movies, I can't remember how many times we've actually had 10, because I think the way that it works is that you have to have a certain number of votes like for nomination to get up there, and then you get nominated. I don't know exactly, but I know it kind of fluctuates between 10, 8, and 9. But yeah, we've got 8. I think it's a good 8. I agree with you on Sound of Metal. I'm stoked about that. It's a movie about a drummer, and it has a special place in my heart for that reason. But I thought it was excellent, and I was surprised to not see it get more love during award season. So I think that's, if you get surprised by a Best Picture nominee, you want it to be a good surprise, and this definitely falls in that category.
Yes, yes.
And I think my 2 big misses here, or movies I should say that I was surprised to not see, are Da 5 Bloods, which basically got shut out. I mean, they got like nothing. And then Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is one of those things where I'm like, based on the format of that movie and like how short it was and like how it's pretty much contained within like one room, I can kind of see why they wouldn't go there. But like the acting performances were stellar. We'll talk about it later, but Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman both nominated for acting awards. I thought the screenplay, though it was adapted from a play, was excellent. And I thought, we reviewed it on this podcast. We both had really high things to say about that. So I was a little bit surprised to see that one left out in the cold.
Yeah, I would agree. Some other things, we didn't see One Night in Miami on this list.
Yeah, I know, right?
In my mind, that was a big win. I really liked that movie a lot.
Yeah.
Da 5 Bloods is huge, and there's something else. No, I think those are the 3. Which, based on the Oscars history, I would think that they might want to spend a little bit more time critiquing those movies and putting them in the high ranks of where they belong. So, good luck, Oscars, this year with your hashtag.
Though I would say like Yeah, I mean, I think you're referring to like Oscar So White, which they've obviously had issues with that in the past, and there are still, like, if you go back, there are some issues that have happened with the Oscars. But if you look at this, we got a lot of firsts, so we'll talk about in the acting categories. But
True.
Steven Yeun being nominated for Best Actor, he's the first Asian person of Asian descent to be nominated for that award. Same with Riz Ahmed, the first person of Middle Eastern descent and of the Muslim faith to be nominated for that award. Viola Davis becomes the most nominated Black actress ever to be nominated. So there's a lot of firsts as well, which is good. I think this year was actually, like, most of the award season movies were like focused on minorities. So that was a different change of pace, and I don't know if that's because of COVID or what, but it's good. It's what we've been saying is, like, let's make more movies about telling those stories, and this year it feels like we got that. But yeah, I agree. I think, considering that, you look at the
At
best
the big
picture
one.
list
Yeah.
and you're like, there seem to be some omissions there. But yeah, let's look at the other categories. So best director, Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Emerald Fennell, who's a very new in her career, for Promising Young Woman, David Fincher for Mank, Chloe Zhao, same story there. She's really a new director on the scene, for Nomadland, and Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round. I
Yeah,
think for
this
me, big surprise here was Regina King.
yes.
I think it was her directorial debut, and I had a couple of notes for that movie, but overall, for a directorial debut and just in general, like, that was a really well directed movie. One Night in Miami, that is.
Sure. That's where we're just going to disagree all night, Cam. This was what's going to happen here because
That's
spoiler
fine.
alert, I am not a Regina King fan.
Oh, how dare you?
Uh, I think she could do better. I think she could do better, Cam.
On the
She's an
directing front, is that
Academy
what you're saying?
all around. She's an Academy Award winning actress, and I think she could do better. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. I think that she did a decent job at directing that movie, but I think the story of that movie, of the film One Night in Miami, really carried itself. So I actually can see why she was not on here. But with that said, I can see her honing her skills and really sharpening her fine tip pens and really coming back and swinging next year really well. But this list, as concise as it is for the directing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those five, I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with it. And I believe I've got 2 films to see on this list in order to get completely caught up.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, and Chloe Zhao is the first Asian woman to be nominated for this category, which is huge. And also, it's the first time that this category has featured. Sorry, not this category. I'm lost. But anyway, so yeah, Chloe Zhao, first Asian woman to be nominated for that award. Moving on to Best Actor, this is a category that is just stacked. Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal, Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Anthony Hopkins for The Father, Gary Oldman for Mank, and Steven Yeun for Minari.
Dude.
That's tough. It's always a tough category. It always is. And so I don't know why every year I'm like, man, that's toughy. But it really is. It feels like a really tough category this year. And it's one where in most years I can look at it and go, this is who should win. And this year I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that one's anyone's game. Anyone's just going to grab that gold for them. And uh, aside from uh, aside from Anthony Hopkins, I think we'll have some pretty lively speeches. No offense, Anthony Hopkins. I can just see a very regal acceptance speech from Anthony Hopkins. Everyone else, of course, Chadwick Boseman, whoever accepts on his behalf, it's just going to be tears and tears and tears and tears. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And man, I hate it when people get nominated for awards posthumously. It's just like, people still talk about, like, well, yeah, Heath Ledger only won the award because he passed away. And I'm like, dude, that is so disrespectful and
Yep.
frankly just not true. And so I just really don't want that to happen for Chadwick Boseman, because I think he's got a good shot at this, and I think that he deserves it no matter what the circumstances. And I would like to see him win for that reason. Steven Yeun for Minari, unreal performance, so good. And all those guys did an incredible job. So I don't think you can find a loser in that category. I think whoever wins, you have to tip your cap and go, wow, amazing performance in a year full of amazing performances.
Definitely.
Okay, next category, Best Actress. Mentioned it earlier, Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Andrew Day for The United States versus Billie Holiday, Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman, Frances McDormand for Nomadland, and Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman.
Perfect. I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah, I don't think they missed anybody here. I think this is exactly who I would expect. My leader in the clubhouse is probably Carey Mulligan. If I had to pick, like, just because
Ah,
the nature of her film is like it's her, like it's her show, and Nomadland is somewhat Frances McDormand's show, but it's so much about like these passing moments she has with other people to tell the story.
right.
She's really just like the conduit of everything else. So I think, and Viola Davis is almost like a supporting character in her own movie in a way. She has like actually very little screen time and very little dialogue. So I don't know. I just think based on like movie structure alone, the scale sort of tips towards Carey Mulligan, in my opinion.
Yeah, I hear that for sure. What definitely think we need to do is we need to do most likely is going to win list,
Yeah, we will.
a like one a win list, and then we'll show our results if we were wrong on both accounts, and then a different person won, which usually happens.
Yeah, yeah. I think last year, right before the Oscars, we did that. We did like we did the big categories, and we were like, here's who I think is going to win, and here's who I want to win and why. So I think it's a fun exercise because that is different. Between those two categories.
Yes.
Okay, the rest of the acting awards. Best Supporting Actor, we have Sacha Baron Cohen for The Trial of the Chicago 7, Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah, Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, Paul Raci for Sound of Metal, and Lakeith Stanfield for Judas and the Black Messiah.
Always an interesting category. This one usually goes to the most heartfelt performance rather than the most standout performance. So in this one, I really would see it possibly going to Paul Rassi and Sound of Metal, because that performance is so nuanced. This guy has been a big deal in the deaf community in real life and in Hollywood life. So my bet is on him, just because of the nature of the supporting category awards.
Yeah, and it's a great story. I mean, here's a guy who's not been in big roles ever, has never really found himself in this position, and now he gets nominated for the Academy Award. I mean, like, you just love to see it, and it would be a great story. I think it's already a great story that he got nominated. Um, Man, I'm just so upset that Delroy Lindo didn't get nominated for Da 5 Bloods. I thought that performance was extraordinary, and Stefano commented on Facebook that it's just a product of the movie being released when it was, which is probably true. It was released really early in 2020, but I mean, everybody who watched that movie would tell you that that was an obvious choice. We were already talking about Oscars as soon as it came out,
Right.
and you know it comes down to like where they submit people, because the studios decide which category they submit you for. So like the fact that Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya both got submitted for supporting hurts your chances in that category, but still, like, up against anybody, that was an incredible performance. I just cannot make sense of it.
And I would even put Delroy in the lead actor
I
category.
agree. I
The
totally agree.
gravity of his role, how he controlled the narrative, and I mean, the camera, Spike Lee's camera loved him,
It
absolutely
was
loved
his
him.
movie. I
It
just think
was.
that's what sticks out. I mean, I know it's about all those guys and their stories, but it's more about Paul than anybody else. Like,
Yeah.
it's shocking to me. It's shocking. But everybody in this category is obviously deserving. It's just like, man, we got to find a way to get this guy an Oscar.
Give that man his Oscar now.
And let's wrap up finally with Best Supporting Actress, which was that category includes Maria Bakalova for Borat's subsequent movie film, Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy, Olivia Colman for The Father, Amanda Seyfried for Mank, and Young Jung Yoon for Minari.
Strong. Don't know why Glenn Close is in here, but
No, she
otherwise
is the
strong.
first actor, I believe actor, at least actress, to be nominated for a Razzie and an Oscar for the same role. The same role. And I hated Hillbilly Elegy. I thought it
Yeah.
was so bad. I thought that it was like almost embarrassing like how thoughtful and inspiring Ron Howard apparently thought that movie was, because he's like, clearly from the way that he created the story, like I know that it's adapted off of a book, but the way that he told the story through the camera work and everything, he just thought it was really powerful stuff, and it was not. It just was
No,
not.
no, I don't even think I finished the movie. It was just so painful, so incredibly painful to get through. Not the weight of the story, but just strictly the faces that
Oh
Glenn
no.
Close was making. And man, she's had some killer performances in the past. This
Yeah, oh,
just
for
was
sure.
not her best, and I don't.
No,
It's not going to be her.
that whole cast was rough. I think Amy Adams did fine, all things considered, but man,
Yeah,
there
it
were
was.
some brutal acting performances in that movie with
Whew.
some brutal dialogue. It was it was tough. It was tough. So very surprised to see that was my pick. I think we talked about it earlier. That was my pick for one of those movies that like gets nominated for best picture out of nowhere. Like one of these movies that like everybody kind of hates, but just like I equated it to Incredibly Loud and Extremely Close. Is that what that movie was
Yeah.
called?
Yep.
Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. I don't know. It's one of those variations. But it was like that movie that got nominated for Best Picture, and you're like, wait, what? Nobody liked this movie. So at least it didn't get nominated for the big one, but still, this is rough. This is rough.
It's fascinating, and we will watch on pins and needles as they zoom in on Glenn Close right before they read the envelope. We'll see what happens.
I mean, you can't beat Olivia Colman though. I mean, she just wins.
I don't know, man.
She's just incredible.
I haven't seen Minari yet, but I'm actually
Dude,
rooting.
Minari was so good.
I'm rooting for Amanda Seyfried because
She was great.
I've never seen her do what she did in that movie before, and I was super excited to see her in such a different kind of role. So that's who I'm rooting for at the gate here.
She would be deserving for sure. It was really good. So that's our Oscars. We're just going to stick to those categories, and we'll have more thoughts. We got a little while till this show happens, but that's our Oscars reactions. Let's jump into some other news stories. Here's one that is so typical. James Cameron's Avatar is back at the top of the box office charts after losing its title to Avengers Endgame. It has had a re-release in China. Yeah, we need to use the Infinity Gauntlet to snap James Cameron away. But they re-released it in China, seemingly just so it could take the title back. So there's that.
He absolutely did. He is Thanos. James Cameron is Thanos.
He has to be behind this. Like I know that like Disney owns both of those properties now, and so like for them it's just like whatever. But why did they do this? It had to be him. He had to have asked them for it. He had to have.
Absolutely. And it was such a surprise, like a sneaky way to do it. And it was like, and it's just releasing in China.
Right.
Like, what? Like, stop it.
It's weak. There's pettiness, and then there's that. Like it's off the charts. That is like so ridiculous to be like, all right, man, if I can just scrounge up a quick 20 million or something, I'll be back on top of the world, and everybody will speak the name Avatar for all of the rest of forever.
This is what's going to happen for the rest of forever. They're gonna sneak out Avengers Endgame again, and then James Cameron's gonna sneak out of Avatar, no. And then back and forth and back and forth.
Well, it's scary because like, what if theaters don't like come back to the same level of revenue earning that they were before? Like, what if movies just don't gross billions of dollars anymore?
They will.
That's scary. I hope and pray every day for it, but like that would suck. I feel like he's making the play because of that. He's like, dude, this is my chance to cement my name in history for all eternity. This is it. And the Russo brothers should have countered and been like, yeah, let's put Endgame back out there. Let's go.
Maybe they are. Maybe there's some diabolical plan.
Film win.
Like maybe when maybe the weekend that masks are no longer required in public, they're like Avengers Endgame.
Surprise Endgame drop.
We've bought out every theater in every movie theater across the globe, and they will win. James Cameron will succumb.
Well, they deserve it. It's like an all-time lame thing for James Cameron to do. I don't know. I hate that. Here's a really interesting one. This is hot off the presses. There are rumors that MoviePass is coming back from the dead. Movie
Yes.
Pass, the
Yeah.
much ridiculed platform that everyone in the free world predicted would die because its price point was too low to be sustainable, and then they died because they didn't have enough money. Um, the company who owns Movie Pass has some sort of cryptic countdown that's counting down to March 22nd on their website.
Yes.
Um, what? Like, it has to be that, right? What else would it be?
Yeah, the Movie Pass will actually be the one who saves the movie theaters. This is
Dude,
whatever
it
they've
could.
got up their sleeve. What if it's a lot of people were really mad about Movie Pass. It seemed too good to be true, and I think it really was. This whole platform that they really sold their business on. So what if they're announcing you're finally going to get your money back that you're owed for Movie Pass that closed like 3 years ago on March 22nd? They finally figured it out.
Dude,
The accountants have been hard at work, and you're getting your money
that
back for their subscription.
would be
That's what I see
cool.
this as.
That would be cool. And also, like, here's the thing about Movie Pass, their model works. It was just priced wrong. It was just priced ridiculously low. And so they scaled too fast because their subscriber count obviously got insane. But it was too low a price point to sustain the business. The theaters started turning on them. I think the biggest threat to Movie Pass really is just that the theater chains will want to spin up their own version of it, which like AMC already has. I think Regal has, which is basically they can just do their own subscription plus throw in discounts for concessions and stuff like that, and reward points things, and it's hard to compete with that. But I think their model was not a bad model. It was just that they went too low on pricing and they scaled way too fast. So, I mean, they could make a run of it. Legitimately, they could if they figure out the price point.
Hold on, wait. This is coming to me that as we speak here live. What if Movie Pass has worked a deal with someone where they stream the movies while they're in the theaters? That's not related to Warner.
Oh, dude, I don't know. I don't know. That would be a major shakeup. And also, like, all these companies have their own platforms now. So why wouldn't they
Yeah,
just like stream their own stuff and be like, screw you guys?
but they have to have something magical enough. I mean, they went bankrupt like right away. Uh,
I bet they just come back at $15 a month. They're like, we're back, but it costs $5 more a month, and we'll be all right.
all right, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, yeah.
We'll see. I hope that it actually comes to fruition because now they've piqued my interest. Okay,
We will be 2 new subscribers to Movie Pass.
we will. Um, we got a new In the Heights trailer. In the Heights, which is the film adaptation directed by John M. Chu of Crazy Rich Asians fame, and it is the film adaptation of the Tony Award-winning musical by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who created Hamilton. We got our This was our first real like full trailer. I think the other one would be described as sort of a teaser in a sense. So what's your take on this look at In the Heights?
I'm excited. I think Anthony Ramos is going to be an absolute baller in this role as Usnavi,
Yeah.
previously held originally by Mr. Lin-Manuel Miranda himself. I am a little nervous. I'm a little nervous at the direction. And I got to say, I listened to the entire album front to back on Saturday. And I'm thinking to myself, how is this going to be on film? And
Yeah.
after seeing the trailer the next day, I was like, I don't know. I don't know, John Chu. I mean, you're great. You're great and all, but how do we get there? How do we get from, 90s In the Heights to 2021 In the Heights? That's what I'm nervous about.
I think it looks good. I really do. I think it looks good, and I'm excited. I think it sounds like they've, at least in this trailer, they had some new lyrics in here that were not on the soundtrack and same like that. So they might be mixing up some new stuff. I mean, Lin-Manuel is heavily involved in this project, and that dude he's Midas. Everything he touches is
Mm,
gold. And I was happy to see him appear in this trailer as the Piragua guy, which will be awesome. He's like the comic relief. Also, Christopher Jackson
yes.
appeared in the trailer as well. So some old castings, but I'm encouraged. I think it looks good. Most of all, it looks hot and sweaty, which is the vibe you get from the musical, which I
Mm.
think is what you need. So I was like, yeah, it looks like if I watched this movie, I would start sweating because it looks so hot there. Um,
And I think this is the most exciting tidbit that I love is that Abuela is played by the original Abuela on Broadway. So
That's
that
awesome.
it's both exciting and it's like, man, how old is she or was she?
Yeah, she was only like 40 when the Broadway musical happened.
Yeah, and now she's like a proper Abela age.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see that because we're missing out on some voices. They're gonna be reintegrated into here, of course, like Chris Jackson and Lin Manuel are still present. So it'll be fun. I'm still worried. Cam.
Yeah, I think when something means a lot to you and they're adapting it, it's like exactly my wife's reaction to the Frasier reboot. Like,
Yes.
she loves Frasier more than anyone probably on planet Earth. And when that reboot came out, I was like, "Oh, Jackie, check it out! Like they're rebooting Frasier," and she was like, "I don't know." So it's like it's kind of what you do. You get in defense mode about that kind of stuff, which makes sense. Okay, we've got two big things coming out this week that we have to chat about before we move on to our movie review. And those two things are Zack Snyder Justice League, which is just 2 days away. It's coming out on Thursday on HBO Max. And then The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So let's talk about Zack Snyder Justice League, Kirk. I want to get your final take. I want to hear, where do you think this lands? Do you think it's better than the original? Do you think it is so much better that we actually are like, wow, this is a game changer? Or where do you think it falls on that meter?
I am anticipating that it will be just as hot garbage that we have seen previously.
Just as bad.
Just as bad. I don't think
Okay.
it's going to be worse. I really don't, because the
Be
new
tough.
the new the bar is set really high in standards of terribleness. So for it to like leap up there,
Would be a toughie.
I mean, it would win the ultimate Razzie. The Razzies would shut down permanently. Nothing could beat it. I really think that the CGI, just bathed in CGI, is just not the right way to go. It's been proven. I mean, how can you in what year did this movie come out originally? 2017? Who knows?
Yeah. 2016?
How can you in 2017, knowing what Jumanji looks like, CGI, just create an entire world of only CGI and not take good care of it? It's just, it doesn't make sense. It's not even that great of CGI. It'll last. That CGI has already expired, so maybe they boosted this one up, which will expire in 1 to 2 years. I don't understand the storytelling. I don't understand the fans that love just complete computer. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah. I have read every piece of material, press material, that Warner and Zack Snyder have peddled out about this movie for the last 3 months, which paints it in a very favorable light.
Mm-hmm.
It paints the old Justice League movie in a terrible light and basically puts you in this space where you're like, okay, Zack Snyder really had nothing to do with that movie and has everything to do with this movie. And I've read all of it. And so I am primed and ready to go, thinking like, this could be good. You know, they're starting to buy me in. But here's the thing. It's still Zack Snyder, who is not just like, it's not like this is Chris Nolan Justice League. This isn't a director who's just universally loved. This is a guy who has a highly stylistic approach, one that is just not everybody's cup of tea. I mean, his biggest claims to fame are 300, which was like a cult classic and like a very popular movie, but not a very good movie per se. And you know, Watchmen, which again was super heavily stylized, and not everybody loved that either. So I just think we have to keep that in mind, that even if it's a really good Zack Snyder movie, that doesn't necessarily translate to mass appeal. And that could very well be the case. But I also just go back to like, who could possibly win here? I think it's a lose-lose for all parties involved. I really do, because if it's incredible, right? Like universally, everybody's like, holy cow, this is at least the best DC movie that's come out, and for sure, you know, way better than the original. Then what do they do? Because Zack Snyder's like, I'm out. I'm not doing any more DC movies. Ray Fisher has been shown the door. You know, they couldn't even get Billy Crudup to come back and play the Flash's dad. You know, this extended universe that they've built is in shambles. I mean, Ben Affleck's even, you know, he's got one foot out the door and the other foot on a banana peel. So I just mean, like, it's it's really tough to see where they go from here. So if for Warner, if it's bad, it's like, maybe they get some vindication because they're like, see, we didn't do anything wrong. Zack Snyder just made a bad movie, but that's still not good for them as a company, and it's not good for like getting HBO Max subscribers. So
No.
where I'm at on this, I guess, my final take is that I think it will be good-ish. I think that it will be good to the point where some people really like it, but not good to the point where everyone likes it and it's just a universal hit, which will leave it a step below Marvel because everybody loves everything that Marvel does. And, for that reason, I think it'll ultimately be inconsequential and we'll all just go back to our daily lives and be like, well, we got the Snyder Cut. I guess that question is answered and that'll be the end of it.
Yes, you will have consumed at that point approximately 6 hours of Justice League
I know.
by the end of this
I
week.
know, because I've still got 30 minutes left in the other one too.
And I think we should review the new Justice the new Snyder Cut Justice League. I don't even think of it as the Justice League anymore. I just think of it as this is the Snyder Cut. Like
It's
the
the
actual
Snyder Cut.
title
Yeah,
should
it's
just be
basically-
called
It is, yeah.
the Snyder Cut. And I think that we should, because there are 4-hour slots, we should have 1-hour specials. So we'll have a a 4-episode special run dissecting that particular hour of
Wow.
the Snyder Cut.
That seems excessive, but it might be necessary. I don't know. I'm willing to entertain that idea.
We'll see after we after we watch the film. We will brainstorm some more.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Let's move on to our last one, which is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. How are you feeling about this series now that we are 3 days away?
I was a little nervous about it, honestly. Obviously, I'm really skeptical tonight, so I was I was nervous about it from the teaser because it looked too campy. I don't think you can put out anything campy anymore, Marvel. The first couple movies, they kind of had a little bit of that flavor, but it was also the very end of the early 2000s, right? So you had that option. You don't have that option anymore. You need to put good, cold, hard humor on our plates if you're going to try to toss that to us. So I like the banter between Falcon and between Bucky. I just think that it was a little campy, but then we got the full trailer just at the end this weekend, right? And it really told the story of what's happening in this, and gave me lots of mystery. This thing called TVA, like what is it? There's lots of TVs. Does it directly connect to WandaVision? That's what I'm looking forward to. So this is going to be definitely a big win in Marvel's book once again.
Yeah, I predict something similar. I think based on purely the format of the show, I think that WandaVision was a big risk for Marvel in a lot of ways that I think paid off. Ultimately, there's still a bunch of sourpusses who are upset about the format of the show and like, this is too boring. There's not enough action. Well, I mean, I don't want to validate their opinion, but I will say that Marvel is at their best when they're doing good old-fashioned action movies with a splash of comedy. And this feels like a formula that has won for them in the past and will continue to do so. I think I think Captain America, the Winter Soldier is unequivocally a top 5 Marvel film, may even be top 3. I think it's really that good. So this looks like a similar movie to that, just like smash mouth action movie with some mystery, hunting down the bad guy, just nothing too fancy. And I think for that reason, it's going to be a win. And I think it will be wildly popular because that format is, catered towards mass appeal. So I'm excited about it, though I will say Anthony Mackie is already teasing surprise cameo appearances, and I'm like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing it again. I spent weeks agonizing over WandaVision cameos and who could be and who it wouldn't be, and then got nothing. So I'm out.
He's playing, man. He's probably trolling Paul Bettany because of his massive letdown.
Yeah, 100%. I don't trust Anthony Mackie for 1 second. I bet he probably couldn't even say that with a straight face.
No, well, maybe, I don't know. He's a pretty good bold-faced liar, just because his style of comedy. But man, there's no way that we get someone actually big now that what happened with WandaVision. I
No,
just don't
and
see
like
it.
I saw this headline today. I can't even remember who it was. I'm not. It's not even worthy of sourcing anybody because they were like, Falcon and the Winter Soldier ties into at least 3 other Marvel movies or series. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
the same could be said for every Marvel property ever in history. They all tie into each other. That's kind of the thing. So yeah, there's
stupid.
that. So I mean, I know
Clickbait.
that's a mind blowing story. 3 other Marvel properties are going to be tied into this, as if we didn't already know that. But there we are, and that is all we've got for what's popping. So let's pop it up one last time. All right, here we go. We are reviewing Raya and the Last Dragon, which is a Disney animation studios film, not to be confused with Disney and Pixar, even though it's harder these days to tell the difference between those two because it used to be like Disney Animation Studios are the cartoon 2D ones and Pixar are the 3D ones, but now everything's the same. So that's where we're at. But this is Raya and the Last Dragon. Kirk, do you know whose turn it is to synops? Because I totally forgot.
I don't know. I'll go ahead and do it because I'm going to use my movie voice and I'm just going to read the IMDb page if that's all right with you.
Go for it, sure.
In a realm known as Kumandra, a reimagined Earth inhabited by an ancient civilization, a warrior named Raya is determined to find the last dragon. Find out more live on Disney Plus Premier Access.
That's pretty good, man. I don't know why you're not getting paid to do that. It's chef's kiss. It's so
Well,
good.
we're going to release this to Disney directly on
we
a
are? Okay.
cassette tape, and I'm going to pinpoint it. I'm going to fast forward right to that intro. And that way they can listen to me, and then we can be their premier podcasters for Disney.
We'll just give him a super cut of all your little lead-ins from every episode. I think it would be a pretty good audition tape for you.
Yep, and then we'll wrap it in all of your Disney brackets that you've created, and I think we're shoo-in.
Then we're there. One quick note that I forgot to mention at the top of the show. Again, we're doing all these big changes. One of them is that our reviews are no longer spoiler free. Okay, so if you are going to proceed beyond this point, please know that there will be spoilers for Raya and the Last Dragon. We will be talking about everything that happens in this movie and potentially giving away some things. So if you're worried about getting spoiled, get out now and go straight to Disney Plus, watch Raya, and then come back so you can get the full download from us. With that, let's dive in. Let's start with our superlatives, and then we'll deep dive into the movie a little bit. Kirk, who is getting your Oscar? Who was the best actor in this film?
Okay, I went a little weird on this one.
I like weird. Weird is good.
I have chosen the young, the talented, the talented Isaac Wang.
Yeah.
Isaac Wang plays Boone.
I think it's Wong, but I could be wrong about that.
Well, Isaac,
Yes.
who plays Boone. We're on a first name basis. He has a chair in my studio. I don't know about yours, but he's in mine. He's right over there. I will say, oh, you need a bigger room.
That's true.
Mr. Boone. So this kid, he plays just this like ship. This like tiny child who's undergoing some obvious slave labor, and he owns his own boat. He gives tours. He feeds them. I think at one point even like offers to like wash their clothes. Like this kid needs to be adopted immediately out of poverty. But also, he has such pure joy to serve people that when Raya and her gang stumble onto the boat as they're racing away from Namari and her crew, it's just so it's so electric. As we go through the tropes of introducing new characters, it's very easy to be like, all right, now here's this person. They're going to help them achieve this goal. But Boone, there's just something completely different about him. And I think it comes strictly from the voice acting of young Isaac, because there is a charm that you cannot teach people in acting and in voice acting. And this kid has it all. I can see this kid. If you look at a picture of him, you're just going to, that when he was in that studio recording, he was on fire. I love that animation studios often start to redraw the character once they have their actor because they see them acting in the studio and recording, and that's when it really connects. Like think Robin Williams when you watch Aladdin. That is Robin Williams as the genie, you know. So I just can't say enough about him. I was glued to him the entire time, and I was so excited for every step of the way with him. So I don't know how old this kid is, but holy cow, look out! He is a firecracker. Loved him.
Yeah, it's a great pick. It's a great pick. I think it's a smaller role, but he steals the show. I mean, he's so good. I'll be talking about him later. There's a little tease for you, so I'll
Oh,
save my thoughts for that. But that's a good pick. My Oscar is going to go to Miss Aquafina, who
all right.
plays Sisu Datu, the Last Dragon. I have come to really love Aquafina over the last few years from her performances in Crazy Rich Asians, The Farewell,
Mm-hmm.
Jumanji. I think she's just really great. I think she's got an amazing comedic flair. I think her timing is awesome. But what I think sets her apart is people hire her for the comedy, but she wins because of how she's able to flip the switch and quickly segue from comedy into more serious, more poignant tone of voice. And doing that via voice acting is even harder because you don't get, she is a super expressive person being someone with a comedic background. So she didn't even have the facial expressions to drive home the emotion. And yet she was the one kind of driving home those themes of trust and of, respecting one another and, giving people a chance and things like that. It wasn't Raya. Raya was the one being taken to school. She was the one learning the lessons, and it was all being delivered by the dragon, who, in the trailers looks like one of these bit parts that Disney does with their like sidekick roles, but it was so much more than that. And I thought Aquafina was the perfect choice. It's not because she transformed her voice so much, but it's that she gave such an honest performance and was able to, when the dialogue got serious and they were talking about like big macro themes about the movie to drive home the thesis of the movie, she was killing it, and she was right there driving the boat. And so had to be Aquafina, even though Kelly Marie Tran was awesome too.
Excellent. I was really worried, as you say, like a bit part. I was horrified when they introduced her, thinking that it was going to be something a la Brave with the mom as the
Yeah,
bear. And I was like,
sure.
this is going to be terrible. Like, I was really quite scared from the trailer and when it actualized in the film in real time. Even to the point where when you first see her as the dragon, Aquafina, to my point again, like, you need to draw the animation like the actor because that's what really gives it life. It doesn't have to be like one for one, because then, of course, there's no artistry there. But you need to get some characteristics. So as soon as they were able to make Aquafina into a real person when she grabbed the gem, that was real. That was where her storyline took off for me. So Aquafina, fantastic choice.
Nice. And who have you got as your scene stealer, Kirk?
My scene stealer goes to Miss Raya, also
Yeah,
known as
Kelly
Kelly
Marie
Marie
Tran.
Tran. Yeah. This was one that I was reluctant to choose for many months before this movie came out because, as a Degrassi fan, there needs to be a hand symbol for Cassie Steele. I stand with you, Cassie Steele. I think that really the movie had some crazy moments where you can kind of like track like, was that for was that for the other voice actress or was that for Kelly Marie Tran? You can kind of see because we've seen Kelly Marie Tran in a couple of things now. We know that Cassie Steele has a full filmography as a teenager and plus, and so there are moments in here where you don't know really quite what you're going to get. There's a little bit of a disconnect. However, Kelly Marie Tran does not sound like herself. And I have to say that when I can't understand what actor is voicing you, that's a big win, a huge win. So, not that you have to disguise yourself so much, because obviously Aquafina did not, and she was fantastic. But really, if you can really disappear into the role, and I can't pinpoint you without pulling up IMDb, well, there you go. You win it for me. Just some really nuanced vocal work, some really nothing over the top, no screaming, no when you're sighing on a film that your voice is available for and not your body, only the character's body. I just felt like what energy she put into it matched it perfectly. So I just got to go with her.
Love it. I love it. I think it's a great choice. I think she was really good, and I didn't pick her for any of my superlatives, and I was feeling a little guilty about that because she was so good. But that's awesome. That's a great choice. For my scene stealer, I'm going, as I teased earlier, I'm going with Isaac Wong, who played Captain Boone. I agree with everything you said, Kirk, and I think it's it's just so interesting to have a character like that who just immediately steals the show and has very little dialogue, but is like quickly the most beloved character. His delivery was so hilarious. He actually is the one driving my first hard laughs in the movie, not Sisu, who like we
Yes.
meet her shortly before we meet Boone, but Boone is the first one that I remember watching and laughing out loud. Because when he's like, "We got shrimp, we got kanji, we got a shrimp kanji that won't quit," just it's the character animation along with that voice is just so good. And when they're like, "Who's the captain of this ship?" and he's like, "Oh, let me go get him real quick," and he turns around and does his hair, and he's like, "Captain Boone at your service, Chief Financial Officer of the Shrimp Port." Like it's just, it was so money. He just
Yes.
owned that scene, and I was laughing out loud because it was, you knew what was coming, but it was so well done and so well delivered. It just really felt like that character was built around the person who was playing it, and I just loved every second of it. And my kid went to the Disney store the other day, Marshall, and bought a Captain Boone plush, and I was like, "Yes, that's so awesome."
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. One thing I'll say that is probably difficult, when you get into projects of film and TV, and you notice that there's a character that's going to be a little bit more beloved, you can kind of develop them a little more. I feel like Boone was definitely underused, and it's probably because of the pandemic. This entire story, all of the writing, communication, collaboration was done completely remotely. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
then when you put that together, there might have been an opportunity to say, hey, listen, this actor who's playing Boone is really has this booming magnetic voice for being like a 7-year-old boy. And the character himself that we've written is actually a bigger deal. So let's extrapolate on that. And I feel like he gets his day in the spotlight, but I really think they could have pushed it even more. So maybe Raya and the Last Dragon 2 will give us that.
Yeah. Yeah, we could see it. It could be possible, and I think, like you said, with the pandemic and with the fact that they had a huge shakeup on the production side of this, with you know switching out some voice actors, switching out producers, like it got crazy there in the 11th hour of this movie. Um, we probably may have lost some more time with Boone because of that, but regardless, the time we got with him was awesome, and that's why he's my scene stealer, Isaac Wong.
Excellent.
Okay, let's move into Showstopper, Kirk. What was the thing about this movie that knocked your socks off?
My showstopper is extremely specific for this film.
Love it.
Uh, it's how could I say it philosophically? Hold on one second. The I would say the reflection of innocence is what I'd like to call it.
Ooh.
The reflection of innocence. So at the beginning of the film, we see Raya as a tiny child, and we're seeing her interact with her parents. And what the biggest thing to notice is that her father, played by Daniel Day Kim, I think his name is Banja,
Yep,
uh,
Chief Benja. Yep.
Chief Banja. He looks exactly like Daniel Day Kim. I mean, there's no like Disney loves to do because it's kids movies. They change the proportions of hands and faces and eyes and everything, which is perfect for kids movies. But in this film, most of the adults, the proportions of their face and their bodies are correct. They're to scale for the most part. But when you see the children, they're not. They have the big Disney eyes. They have the even rounder faces. And I just think that showing that is very key to how this story goes. Even when they age her up and Namari up, we still see them among all the other people. We still see their eyes barely a little bit bigger, brighter, with eyes like children, and that just that specificity to add to the story on hope, on a child's seeing things through a child's eyes was huge for me, and I noticed it right away, and I kept looking at everyone's proportions throughout the rest of the film. So that's my showstopper.
It's a great call. It's a really great call and a great note because I think, to your point, the themes around this movie are largely about hope and about trust. And so you have to, in order to tell a story about trust, which is a hard thing to teach people, and I mean, they cover it from all angles. They talk about, how like, they indirectly talk about how we inherit distrust from our parents, how distrust goes back for generations and generations, and how hard it is to trust somebody, and how it takes somebody to give a sacrifice to instill trust in others. Like, powerful stuff, and it won't work unless you trust the characters and you see them in that light. So I think your call out is absolutely money. And I think I love the other, it's not my showstopper, but I also, another fact to your point is like, there is no human villain in this movie. They kind of act like there's going to be, and they kind of lead you down that path. But the real villain is a supernatural entity that is like, what have they described it? It's the Droon, and they're described as like being created through human discord. It's a product of the distrust that we have in one another, but it's important in a movie based on trust that you have no human villain. And so they understood what they had to do to drive these themes home, and they didn't miss any detail with it, to your point. So good call out. My showstopper is the art direction in this movie, which was phenomenal. I cannot overstate it. It was so good. First of all, the actual artwork on the characters was leaps and bounds better than any animated movie I have seen in recent memory. The character faces, the hair, everything was just, I don't know if they got new technology over at Disney Animation Studios or what, but it was clearly a step above anything we've seen recently from them. What would have even been the most recent? Would it have been Frozen 2? Is that the most recent Disney Animation Studios film we got?
Yes.
I think it is. And it was, I mean, from the first shot, I was like, whoa, those people look so real. The way that their faces moved whenever they talk, it was crazy, but still stylized in that Disney way, so that it's like, I say real. They were real in the way that they interacted, but they still looked like Disney cartoony people. I was blown away. I actually saw a few months ago that Disney Animation Studios and Pixar won a achievement in art award for their hair modeling system that these computer engineers came up with. And man, it was working overtime in this movie. They've got a really bright bunch of engineers over there creating their development software because it just looked incredible. And also, the lighting in this movie, the lighting in the animated movie was so great. They were using it in all kinds of different creative ways, especially during the fight sequences, of which there were actually many in this movie, which was a nice change of pace for Disney Animated Studios film. And finally, the aesthetic, the color palettes that they chose were extraordinarily unique. They used tons of different textures. They were really smart in creating this world where there's these 5 different regions that have very different like climates and types of people who live there. It just created a really dynamic and beautiful film to watch, and I thought it just killed. From beginning to the end of the movie, I was like, man, they just absolutely blasted the artwork out of the park. It's not even close. And you layer onto that the fact that most of this was done remotely, if not all of it. Unbelievable. Truly, like, unbelievable.
Yeah, you're right. I think that's why I was a little worried about this film, because it did look so different from everything else we've seen. Every other Disney animation movie studio is very bright, and this one is not bleak, but it's very orange and brown and
purple.
olive and
like
purple
hues. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's I was worried that this would be their next big flop after Chicken Little. That's really the last. That's the bar. That's the bar.
Low bar, dude.
And I was worried. I was like, it's gonna be just like this is Chicken Little the sequel. But no, it was very very engaging, very exciting to watch. Yep.
For sure. I agree. All right, director shoes. What are your notes? What would you change, or what would you tell them to change?
So this story kind of loses its edge. I will say that I don't think the story was original enough. Oh man, the the imagery was unique enough, but I mean, we've seen it before. The very opening of this was Moana Part Two. The exact same type of storytelling. And to be fair, it's also Southeast Asian culture. So that's fair. But you just released Moana within the past decade, so that I could have done something different. I could have written it myself and produced it, acted it, the whole thing. I also think that we've got a little bit of Infinity Stones. We've got a little bit of the Trolls blueprint, the Trolls World Tour blueprint of here's all these different things. They're all separate and unique in their own way. And this is a certain, we've got Talon, we've got Fang, we've got Heart, we've got Tail. Those things. They're the Infinity Stones. They really are. Like, let's put the dragon back together to unlock the mystery. I mean, there's more to it than that, but it felt very much like that in my eyes. So I feel like they were close. It's just too recent to do that. That it just felt too familiar. And Disney is always the king of making things brand new, or taking that but really spinning it on its head and making you think that you're walking down one path and then jarring to the left.
Yeah, sure. Um, we'll have some big disagreements on that when I go into my overall thoughts, but that's good. I think that it's good that we have disagreements because it makes for a more interesting discussion. But I agree with a lot of what you're saying there in terms of the Infinity Stones. Like, this is Disney's in game. Like, they're doing the same thing, right? Like, they're going around, they're collecting the stones. There's a reason they have to have all of them, etc. It is that blueprint. My director shoes is that, and this is an interesting one for me, and it's nitpicky to an extent, but at times the dialogue felt forced. But what's interesting is that it wasn't the serious dialogue. It was the like lighthearted, funny dialogue that sometimes you're like, you're forcing it a little too much. Like, especially I think that initial conversation between Namari and young Namari and young Raya, where Raya's like, "Who would want to wear this on the regular?" Like, they're saying things that I'm like, it feels a little forced. I know you're trying to relate to kids, so like I see that, but there were just like little small talk moments where I was like, this needs more polish.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this isn't terrible, but like, let's spin up 3, 4, 5 more concepts for this interaction and see where we land, because I think that they didn't fully flesh those out. I think the parts where they were talking about the serious stuff were was super well written. Like, there's that one conversation between Raya and Sisu where they're kind of like exploring their differences, and Raya's like, the world is broken. You can't trust anybody. And Sisu's like, maybe the world's broken because you can't trust anybody. Like, that was a great line, and one that I was like, hey, kids movie, let's go. This is well done. I was not expecting that left hook. But it was the other parts. It's almost like they thought the chitter chatter might be a little bit easier, and so they let their foot off the gas a little bit or something. I'm not really sure, but that's my one note. It was a little too noticeable for me. Like, I shouldn't be picking up on stuff like that, and I was. So that's my one critique there. And then we're ready now for our final thoughts and scores.
I need a graphic to unveil my. Oh, that was beautiful. Oh, thank you. It's front and center here. I will say that I dipped in and out of sleep here at the end of the film. I will admit that. All I'm not ashamed to say that. I really, really did think this movie lost its steam and became too much of a blueprint at the latter half of this, even with all of the fun action that was very different from what we've seen before. So it's very simple for me to score this. It's not the best that we've seen Disney at, but it's 100% not the Chicken Little. So I'm going to give this 6.5 kernels out of 10.
Wow. That is a low score by my assumption, but that's good. Let's be different. Let's have difference of opinion. So here's what I would say about this movie. Um, I hear your thoughts about um, how it's a blueprint, and I would counter with the fact that I actually think this might be, and this is not hyperbole, I truly believe this. This might be the most original Disney Animation Studios movie ever created, and here's why. If you look back at everything that Disney Animation Studios has done, it's all adaptations of pre-created materials. Lion King was based on Hamlet. Frozen's based on whatever, the Ice Queen, even though they changed that story a ton. Even Moana based off of, Polynesian folk tales. If you go back through the list, there are very few things that are actually original world building source material. I think Wreck-It Ralph is on that list, which is an original concept for sure, but like not something that people haven't thought about before. And so when I look at this and I look at the fact that they created a world that had all these different regions and different textures and colors, and the design, the character design was different, and the costumes were different. I'm looking at this saying, wow, they, while using some tropes that are common, which is, that happens, they created something really original here, which is something that Disney doesn't usually do. They like to take stories that are surefire wins and then, adapt them in the Disney way. So I was pleasantly surprised by that. And I was like, hey, I'm ready to explore this world of Kumandra a little bit more. I think, I don't know where they would go with a sequel, but maybe they could do a prequel. I know Raya wouldn't be in it or anything, but I think there's opportunity here within this world. Maybe they spin up a Disney Plus series or something like that. I really think they've created something special. And I thought that the movie thematically was strong. I thought the art was unbelievably, mind-blowingly awesome. And so, I don't know. For me, this is a really good movie. And I've been debating how high I go with it because I really loved it so much. It was one of those things where I like turned it on kind of expecting to like it like I like all Disney movies, but not love it because I just didn't really know what it was. And then I loved the fact that I didn't know what it was. So I have been teetering between a couple of scores, but I think I'm going to give this a 9.6 out of 10. I thought it was so good.
Wow.
I hope we see more of it. I hope they do it right if we're going to see more of it, but I think kudos to them for making a project that was just very different from the typical mold for them, and they took the art to the next level. So for me, it's a 9.6 out of 10.
Woo!
So wow,
there it is.
This is good, Kirk. We're broadening our horizons. We've had a couple big disagreements in a row here. Though I know Tom and Jerry, we both said that movie sucked, but Nomadland, we had a big point discrepancy there, and we had a big point discrepancy here, so it's good. Let's add a little spice to our life.
We did, and I promise you, we do not compare scores before this. We do not compare notes, listeners, new and old.
That's probably the reason our scores are so similar most of the time, because we don't know where we're gonna land. And I feel like if I saw your score beforehand and it was similar to where I was gonna go, I'd be like, I'm bumping mine down. I would do something.
Sure.
Yeah, so that is our review of Raya and the Last Dragon. Once again, you can check that film out on Disney Plus. If you ask me if it's worth the $30, I'd probably say yes. Kirk sounds like he might say, let's wait until it hits Disney Plus regular subscription, which is fine as well. But let us know your thoughts on this movie. I think it's a really interesting case study and a really, I don't know. I mean, no matter what movie, creating a movie in a pandemic remotely is an incredible thing. So kudos to them. But that is our review. Let's move into our game, which, what did you say this game is called, Kirk?
This is called Cam and the Last Dragon.
Oh my Lord. Okay. Let me hold on. Let me get mentally prepared for this. And let me also,
I'd like some music.
Yes.
Yes.
How's that? All right. I think we're ready now.
Are you ready? All right,
I'm scared. How do I play?
This is a two-parter. There's a warm-up to this, and then it gets crazy. Okay, are you ready?
All right, let's get crazy. Let's get
All
nuts.
Right, here we go. What I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you some movie titles, Cam.
Okay.
And you need to put the word dragon in it.
I need to put the word dragon in it.
Yes, these are real titles. These are real movie titles. And they have the word dragon in them. Okay. I'm going to read you everything but the dragon part. Are you ready? Again, this is the warm-up. Raya and the last
dragon.
You did it. Look at you. You are a pro. Look at you.
All right. I feel okay. I feel all right now.
Pete's.
Dragon.
Dragon. You did it.
Is it every time just going to be you pausing and then I say dragon and then I win?
Well, this is the first half of this game.
Oh, okay.
Next. Kiss of the
dragon.
Yes.
What are we doing?
You are an absolute genius. Can you believe
confused.
this? Who would have guessed that Cam would have gotten 4 out of 4 just like that?
Wow.
Okay, this one's tricky.
Okay, ready.
Blank eyes.
Dragon eyes.
That is correct.
Yes! I'm crushing this.
Ladies and gentlemen, how does he do it? And the last part of our warm-up.
Oh, this is still the warm-up. Crap.
This is still the warm-up. The last part of the warm-up. Crouching tiger.
Hidden dragon.
Oh, man. You finished it before I could even get you the final hint.
I want to show off a little bit. Flex my muscles a bit.
Okay. I see you. Now, it gets tricky. Because the flip side of that is I give you only the word dragon, and you must guess what film it is.
How is that even possible?
It's not. I'll give you a clue with each one.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Just think back to all the wins you just had, Cam.
Yes, I will
with
try.
this wonderful game. Here we go. Blank dragon. Your clue is Mr. Scott Wolf, the actor.
Wolf. Yeah.
This was an 80s film. Blank.
Red dragon.
That is incorrect.
Dang it.
It's older, much older.
Oh, I don't know.
Think of twins. Think of martial arts. Think of Scott Wolf.
Nothing comes to mind when I hear the name Scott Wolf.
Oh, man.
Not even a little bit.
The answer is Double Dragon.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
You don't know Double Dragon, Cam?
No, I don't know Double Dragon.
It's one of the greatest. It's a fantastic. Well, I don't know if it was a cartoon first or if it was automatically always martial arts, but it is a fantastic romp of twins who have powers of strength and might and will. Well, you're renting that this weekend. Okay, you ready? Here we go.
It has a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's not totally surprising that I haven't seen this movie.
No. It's absolutely film gold. Okay, are you ready for your next one?
I guess.
Here we go. Blank, 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 blank. Dragon. Your clue.
Oh, Lord.
Your clue is. It is an award-winning cartoon.
How to Train Your Dragon.
You did it!
Yes. Yes.
I should have led with that one as the example, not.
Not Scott Wolf. I'm not watching that movie. You can't make me.
No, you need to. I once sat approximately 6 feet away from Scott Wolf. I could have stood up and shook his hand, and I should have. It would have changed the course of my life, but I didn't, and here I am.
Yeah, it did change the course of your life for the worst.
It did, but then I wouldn't be here playing Cam and the Last Dragon. Your next one, blank. I'm sorry, I take that back. Your next one, Dragon, blank, blank. Your
Dragon,
clue,
blank, blank. Okay.
your clue is Super Saiyan.
Dragon Ball Z?
That is correct.
It's Super
Good job.
Saiyan, Kirk. Come on. If you're going to pander, at least do it right. That's not a movie. I mean, there are movies.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just summing them up because if I were to get into the really specific 8-word title after the colon, we'd be here all night. We'd be here all night.
It's true.
And to close out our game, if you're prepared for it, Cam.
I am.
Super sweet and simple. This one here.
I'm so
Count
scared.
correctly. Blank, 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 blank. Dragon, blank.
Okay.
Your clue.
Oh my gosh.
Let me give you the blanks again.
No, I
Blank,
got
blank.
it. It's 5 blanks before, 1 blank after. I got it.
4. I may have given you too many. Blank, 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 blank. 4. Dragon,
Oh yeah, I counted dragon. That was my problem. And then
blank.
Got it.
Your clue is Daniel Craig.
The girl with the dragon tattoo.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cam Wiggs. Fantastic
it.
job.
Crushed it. Wow. What an experience that was. Thanks for the game, Kirk. I liked the first round better where like you just said everything and then I just had to say dragon. That made me feel really good.
Right? I guess next time I'll flip it. Next time we play Cam in the last dragon.
No, it's okay. You don't need to pander. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. But I will say my game performance is usually pretty terrible, and the fact that I only missed Double Dragon, which is apparently a terrible movie, is
not.
You know,
That is not a terrible movie. The critics got it wrong. They got it
the
wrong.
critics were dead wrong. Hey, that happens. All right, well, that's all we got. For those of you who have been watching us on the stream, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be doing more of this. We'll get better at it. We've got more things that we can try to do here. First time on Twitch, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live simultaneously. So we want to thank you guys for being there. If you liked this video and watching along with us, feel free to subscribe and also comment. We want to make you guys a part of the show as much as possible. So thanks for that. We've got a lot of big things coming. We've got Zack Snyder Justice League. We've got the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We're back in the studio this weekend for Spilled Popcorn, where we'll be diving into the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So if you want to catch that series, you can either listen to it next Monday morning on the podcast, or you can watch it on Monday on YouTube. That's where you'll be able to find it. Couple of things real quick as we wrap up the show. Just want to thank you guys for listening in. Our executive producer is Ryan Spriggs. Our original music is by a band called Rhetoric. You can check them out on Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check the description for all those details, and you can connect with us on Discord as well. If you like this episode, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, rate, or review. And if you need more PFB content, you can find everything we've ever done at popcorn4breakfast.com. But we will see you guys next time.
Talk to you then.